Hey, hello, you're stuck in trial with Wolf Gorluck. Couple minute riff on IT and IT security in a very dark morning. It's the week of the solstice, the winter solstice, the shortest days of the year, or longest, I suppose, if you're a vampire. Are you a vampire? Leave me a comment. So, anyways, IT security. We're talking about what happens when you deliver pen test results with nothing in them, and why there's such an incentive to, maybe pad the results, not necessarily putting things that are inaccurate, but things that, in my mind, as an IT security leader, would not be necessarily a good finding, right? Oh yeah, I asked MPs on blah, blah, blah. Why is that? Well, I believe that organizations have gone through several epochs. When I first started doing security, I was very fond of saying good security is simply good IT, right? Good IT, good development leads to secure systems. And back then, there's a reason for that. Back then, most organizations did not believe you could get hacked, right? So epoch 1, we can't get hacked. We're safe. People may be concerned when there's not a lot of risk. Then we kind of shifted to that, right? Shifted that a little bit, where there's a growing realization that people could get hacked. This was the early aughts. People started to, to come to the realization that there were defects in IT, there were defects in software, that even good IT guys and good developers would still have a system or process that could be hacked. So epoch 2 was other people can get hacked. We probably won't, because I've got good people, and they don't have anything that they would want, right? I'm a small business, or I'm just a simple bank, or whatever. You may joke, but I have heard back then banking CIOs say, "No one want to attack us. We're just a small bank." So that was epoch 1, and that was or 2, and that was further reinforced by like the Target and the TJX hacks, where there's these huge mega breaches, and you think organizations will go, "No, that can happen to us," and instead they're like, "Yeah, but look how many credit cards they're processing." We don't do that. We simply store personally identifiable information that can be used for identity theft, but no one will want to attack us. Then it gets to epoch 3, which is you realize that there are attacks, and you realize that people are getting attacked, and then you realize, I could get attacked, right? That could be me. That could be me. That could be any day. I could get breached, blah, blah, blah. And this is where we start looking at things like risk management and prioritization and mitigation. But these repeated breaches after breaches after breaches after breaches have got us into what I think of as the 4th epoch of security. And the 4th epoch of security is where business leaders not only recognize breaches can happen to me, breaches will happen to me. They also have come to the conclusion that everyone is vulnerable, I am vulnerable. Therefore, when we do an assessment, if we don't find an area where they're vulnerable, they're not necessarily going, "We're safe." No. The cognitive bias is to assume that we're vulnerable, and therefore the assumption is, well, then the pen tester didn't know what they're doing. They didn't look hard enough. Regardless of which one of those epochs we went through, it ultimately comes down to the same thing. A cognitive bias towards one particular answer and trying to fit facts into that answer. So the tip to you at the very end of this video today is, regardless of where your organization falls in that spectrum, what would happen if the opposite was true, right? What would happen if we are safe? What would happen if we think we're safe but we're not safe, et cetera, et cetera? Always challenge those assumptions, regardless of what the assumption is, and try and get beyond those cognitive biases, and that's when we can start to see some very unique responses to information security. That's it for me. Thank you so much. Have a good one.